What's up, New York Mets Nation? Coming up on this episode of The Bat Cave, I'll be handing out my grades for the 2024 Mets, plus some news and notes and whatever rumors I may have heard or you out there in New York Mets land, New York Mets Nation may have heard. So let me hear from you and let's have it. I'll be returning in about 50 seconds. So don't go anywhere. Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and you know what day it is. It's beautiful, it's glorious, and it's sweet, sweet sounding Hump Day. Yes it is. It's Hump Day, baby. And then we got the first humper of the day. Jonathan Shancup. I'm going to call you Jonathan. How about that? Thanks for checking out the show, Jonathan. He says, hey, Kenny, Hump Day. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of Hump Day. I love it. Yeah. He said, thanks for fixing the mic. So here's what happened, Jonathan. Here's what happened. I figured it out after I got off the live stream. What was that? I think 2 weeks ago, actually, now. But here's what happened. I have a microphone. Let me show it here real quick. It's just a little cheap gimmick here. You know, I feel like David Letterman. You know, he always had something on his desk there, like a microphone-looking thing. You know, his is a lot bigger than mine. You know, yeah, that's what I meant to say. But anyway, I also have headphones plugged in, and the headphones plugged in kind of helped. With the microphone, like it kind of dulled the microphone a little bit because it's kind of loud. And well, my little guy started kindergarten this year, and I gave him, you know, I bought him headphones. He has to have headphones and stuff like that for kindergarten, you know, for whatever reason, you know, for his iPad, and I'm not sure what they do with them. But his were fairly cheap. They're, you know, on sale at the Walmart, the local Walmart here, and he broke them right away. All right, so I let him use mine for a little bit. You know, again, I had you know, some JLab headphones, nothing spectacular, nothing expensive. You know, this is just a hobby of mine, so whatever. And he brought them. You know, he was bringing them home every day, and I finally got him a new pair of headphones, and I took mine back and plugged them in. They seem to work fine originally, but then when I was doing the Bat Cave here, I was having some terrible sound issues, and where you couldn't really hear me. I went back and watched it. Then I couldn't tell live when I was trying to check it live on my phone, and so I checked it, and afterwards I'm watching, like, man, I can't hear anything. You know, Yuki Matsui was the first one to point it out, and he bailed, and Jonathan, I think you came on near the end of the episode, or was it last week or something, whatever it was. But anyway, I noticed after I got off the show, I don't know what you'd call it, the plug part of it that plugs into the side of the laptop here into the port, the auxiliary cable or whatever you want to call it, was chewed on. And so I don't know if that was a dog, if it was the kid, or the cat. So we have a cat that's not quite a kitten anymore. He's a little bit older than a kitten. He's about a year old now. It could have very well been him, and it could have been the boy too. To be honest with you, it could easily been the boy. I remember when I was his age and much older. After that, I used to chew on everything, And I'm not gonna lie, I still chew on stuff all the time. Find myself, gnawing on crap for whatever reason. I don't know why, but yeah. So that's what I think happened. Hopefully, I haven't got a new pair of headphones. I checked out the last few episodes I did here on the Bat Cave and the Silver and Black Lair, which I did this past Monday, and the Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition. And it sounded fine. It sounded all right. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't even need headphones. It is what it is. And I'm just gonna roll with the microphone for now until things change, and until I decide, you know what, I need the headphones, and maybe I feel fancier. I look more official with headphones. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I think happened. Hopefully, it didn't ruin the port. Hopefully, it didn't fritz out the port here. But we'll find out sooner or later. No more doggy treats. Yeah, no more doggy treats. Oops, I thought your dog ate your mic wires. No, I don't think it was a dog. It just doesn't. They're older dogs and they're not into chewing. But it could have been the cat or it could have been the boy. And like I said, I think it was the boy. I really do think it was the boy. And it is what it is. Like I didn't. They weren't $200, $300, $400 pair of headphones or whatever some people buy for like gaming and stuff like that. They were just, I don't know, I think they might have been $20, $25. Not a big deal. And I had them for basically almost as long as I've been doing the podcasting. The first couple episodes I did of podcasting was actually on a show called the Las Vegas Sports Scene with my buddy Rob Hefner, who actually got me into this a couple years ago when Out of the Box Sports was created by Paul Spencer and Joey Wood. And long story short, couple episodes I did of the Las Vegas Sports Scene, I didn't have headphones, but after that I put headphones on. I got headphones so I can hear Rob a little bit better. And then I started doing my own show by myself, the Bat Cave, and Rob and I were doing the Vegas Sports Scene until Rob decided to step away, and I changed the Vegas Sports Scene to Silver and Black Lair because the Vegas Sports Scene, we were talking Raiders, which I'm a huge fan of the Raiders. You can tell behind here. And but I'm not a big fan of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I'm a fan of the LA Kings. So it was kind of tough for me to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights when I hate the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm an LA Kings fan. So that's the gist of it. So we'll see what happens. We'll get there with the headphones and see what happens. But right now we got the microphone, the trusty dusty microphone, rocking and rolling, and as long as that holds up, we're going to be a-okay. Although my daughter does come in here a lot, and she'll meddle around the old laptop here, watching music videos of Melanie Martinez and God knows what else she's doing on. I don't know. She said she looking some stuff up from school. I don't know. She could be looking up like how to poison her old man. I'm not sure. So we'll figure that out once that bridge is crossed. We'll see if I'm still if I'm pushing up daisies or if I'm still on walking around on the earth there. If that's what she was doing or not. And I'm not going to look up the search history because I don't want to know. And anyway, let's get to the show here now that I kind of wasted some time there. Hump Day is also a special day. It's a day after Election Day. And so you have half the country that's super happy. A little bit, I guess, depending on the results, you got more than half of the country that's happy with the results, and you have a little bit less than half of the country that's pissed off about the results and nervous and scared. And I don't get political on here. I posted a video from my show up this past Monday where I talked about just being nice to each other after the election. Don't be dicks to each other. We're all Americans. We're all in the same situations. Money tight. Groceries high, gas high. This, that, the other. Whatever your issues may be. And we're all Americans. We're all human beings just trying to do human being type things. So let's just not be dicks to each other. Let's be nice. And no matter what side of the fence you fell on during the election, accept it, move on. And if your candidate didn't get in 4 years, you'll have an opportunity to vote for another candidate. So you just make the best of it and move on. All right. So let's get on with the show here. Another question from Jonathan said, who's playing center field for the Mets in 2025? Great question. You know what, Jonathan? My thought was I feel like they go younger. They still have Tyrone Taylor, I believe, under contract for another year. And so I believe that they go younger. They keep Tyrone Taylor. They move on from Harrison Bader. I don't see Nimmo going back there. I see Nimmo staying in left field. So unless they pick somebody up in free agency, I don't see that. But we could see, somebody like a Drew Gilbert, which a lot of people are super high on. I don't know a whole lot about Drew Gilbert. Drew Gilbert, what the hell's his name? Oh my god. It's killing me because it's at the tip of my tongue. Jet was it Jet Williams, right? Yeah. One of those guys I could see also playing some center field. Hey, Luis Angel Acuna, he also got some outfield work this past season in Double A, Triple A, whatever it was. Jet Williams, yes, Jet Williams. Jonathan, and I'll tell you what, Jonathan, I know you're fairly new to checking the show out, but that happens a lot. I forget, and it's just the guys are. I know who I'm talking about, and it's on the tip of my tongue. That's I'm not a professional podcaster. I just like talking sports, like talking my teams, the Mets and stuff like that, and Raiders and Kings, and it is what it is. I'm searching for it, and it's not there. I know who I'm talking about, but it happens. And also, there's also I think Alex Ramirez. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with him, but he's been in the system for quite a while. Last year, he was on the 40-man roster, but he never really saw any playing time. He was always down in AAA. So I don't know if he's an option or not, but I do feel like we go younger this year in the outfield, and I don't see us moving on from Starling Marte because it was where his contract is. The Mets could eat the money and just release him. I don't see anybody wanting to trade for him unless the Mets are able to eat a portion of that money or he restructured the contract, and I'm not sure why he would do that. So, all right. He says, I don't care about the results. I don't like the unrest and violence after election. Yeah, and there's no reason. Just like after a World Series, wins, championship wins for any team in any major sport in America, just the violence and then the stupidness that happens after it. Like you've seen L.A. after the Dodgers won the World Series. Celebrating fine, taking to the streets, celebrating, setting off fireworks. I'm cool with that. I have no problem with that. But then when you're throwing stuff at windows, rocking cars, setting buses on fire, and they're setting buses on fire. I believe there are people in the bus that they had to get out before it was fully engulfed, and just stuff like that. And then there's a video of looters looting a Nike store. Why? I mean, I don't understand it. Like these are your stores in your neighborhood, and you're destroying stuff like that. I don't understand stuff like that. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's the same thing after elections. It doesn't go your way. You don't like the results. So what do? You destroy your own town. It doesn't. It's nonsensical. And what happens? They got to rebuild. They have to put all sorts of kind of money into to fix those places up, to rebuild. And guess what happens? That drives prices up, which hurts your bottom dollar, everybody else's bottom dollar. But you don't care because you went and got 3 pair of Jordans or whatever the hell they are. Oh boy, fan-freaking-tastic. So it never made sense to me. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it still happens. It happens. I want the Mets trade for Cody Bellinger to play center field. So that'd be interesting too. Cody Bellinger. I don't know where he's at age-wise. Injury history. I think he's been getting banged up a little bit recently. So I don't know if they go that route unless it's a short-term type deal. I mean, I don't see him going for a 1-year deal. To be honest with you, he's looking to cash in one more time. I think in his career. Again, I'm not sure where he's at age-wise. I know he can still play at a high level, Cody Bellinger, but I just don't. I don't see the Mets going that route. To be honest with you, and I don't see him taking any kind of a short-term deal. And I think if the Mets were to go Cody Bellinger, it would be something short-term just because of the backlog they do, a log jam, I guess it would be, that they do have in the outfield right now with the young prospects. And the young prospects, even in the infield as well, it's an issue. They do have some higher quality young prospects at certain positions that are all kind of jammed up. Now they're learning multiple positions to kind of spread it out, to thin it out a little bit, and that's eventually going to lead to some of those young guys being traded or being just move it on in free agency. Sooner or later, there are times that our control is going to be up on them, and they'll move on, or we'll end up trading them. And so it's a bummer because it seems like there's quite a few young guys in the system right now that are highly touted, and the Mets haven't really had that all that often in the past so many seasons. Usually, the minor league system for the Mets has been not all that good. It's been a lot of if we did get somebody decent in the minor league system, we'd end up trading them away for a filler or like a 1 year rental during the season where we think we might have a chance to make a run at something, or an aging superstar might be in the back half of his career, and we don't get out of him what we thought we might get out of him. So stuff like that happens. But I like where the Mets system's sitting right now, and I want to see a lot of those younger guys coming up. But Bellinger does have a couple of really good seasons left in him yet. So wherever he does go, he's going to be a huge asset. At least for the next 2-3 seasons. Beyond that, I'm not really sure. But it is an interesting thought, though. If they feel like that their minor league system, some of those guys in the system like Jet Williams or Luis Angel Acuna or Drew Gilbert aren't ready, maybe a year or two away. Do they go that route, or do they move those guys? Do they look to move on from Starling Marte? Just eat that money and move on from oft injured, aging right fielder, and move somebody out that way, move one of the younger guys out over that way, and go with a more established, bigger star type center fielder than what like a Tyrone Taylor and Harrison Bader, who's now a free agent, were. And both Harrison Bader and Tyrone Taylor played a very good center field for the most part. And but at the plate, combined, they're not what Cody Bellinger is. Absolutely not what Cody Bellinger is. So, but we'll see what happens. I haven't heard that rumor at all. I don't know if that's a rumor that you heard, or that's just something that you said. You know what? I'd really like to have him on my team. That's one of the fun things about free agency. Is you can go through the free agency list, and you can oh, he'd look good on the team. Oh, he'd look awesome on the team. Or could we move this guy and maybe get this guy here? So that's always a lot of fun. I think that's the most fun part of free agency until the signings start happening, and then you see guys that you might have wanted on your team go somewhere else, and it's like, oh man, then it's disappointment all over again. So, all right. So the one thing I did for this week is I went ahead and I graded the majority of the players from this past 2024 season. Not everybody. There's a lot of guys that weren't on the team very long, either DFA'd, a ton of relievers, DFA'd early, moved around or what have you, and say even some position players, that were DFA'd, pretty early, didn't get a whole lot of action on the main roster. I didn't bother doing all those guys. So I just did a bunch of them and went from there. So I'm going to start off with the bench. Luis Torrens, who the Mets have traded for from the Yankees. Great pickup. Offensively, not very good. Batted 229, 292 on base, and a 373 slug. That was a 665 OPS, 3 home runs, 15 RBIs for the Mets. And not great at the plate, but I'll tell you what, fantastic behind the plate. I'm not sure what his I can't remember what his throwout rate was, but it's by far the highest throwout rate in the league. And now, granted, that's a small sample size. He wasn't getting a whole lot of starts, but when he was gunning dudes down. He was firing people out, and it was fantastic. He did a great job there. Very good behind the plate. I couldn't have been more happy with Luis Torrens. And I do believe we have him back next season. I didn't see him on the free agent list, so that's good. Luis Angel Acuna, I kind of debated whether I wanted to grade Luis Angel Acuna. I gave Luis Torrens a B-, by the way. But the Luis Angel Acuna, he was only up for 14 games. He only played in 14 games in the regular season. So I was kind of debating on back and forth. But I'll tell you what, they're spectacular, those 14 games. There's a lot of excitement. And it could have went the opposite way. With Lindor getting hurt, the back injury and stuff like that, and where the Mets were at that time in the season, a stretch run there, every win extremely important. And to have him go down and you're like, what are we going to do? And they call up Luis Angel Acuna, and he played as well as he did. He had a couple flubs in the field. He had a couple terrific plays in the field. A couple like really big strikeouts, like, dude is free swinging, but a ton of huge hits. And, we took it, absolutely, take it any day of the week. So for those 14 games, I gave him an A, because you couldn't have asked for any more from him. That's by far more than any of us Mets fans probably could have expected from Luis Angel Acuna in that situation for those 14 games. But awesome. He ended up hitting 308, 325 on base, 641 slug for 966 OPS, 3 home runs, 6 RBIs in 14 games. Like I said, I gave him an A. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Jesse Winker. Again, trade deadline-ish kind of move, a little bit before trade deadline. Was probably our biggest trade deadline move. And regular season-wise, I gave him a C+, but he was much more than that in the postseason. So it was, kind of torn with that. He was awesome in the postseason. Numbers-wise, pretty good in the postseason, but just the emotion, the big hits, the attitude, the swagger that he brought to the team, I absolutely loved it. And that gave me some bonus points there with Jesse Winker, especially in the postseason. And he did have some big hits for the Mets during the regular season, but a lot of down stuff. Even to the point where I believe he was getting booed at home. And it was what it was. He wasn't playing well, especially at the plate, but he was banged up too a little bit. So I don't know if that factored into it or not. But like I said, overall regular season C+. For the postseason, I didn't do this I just did this for him. I gave him an A in the postseason just to kind of, I really appreciate what he did in the postseason. So C+ for the regular season. He ended up hitting 243, 318 on base, 365 slug, a 683 OPS, 3 home runs, 13 RBI in 44 games for the Mets. Harrison Bader played center field mostly for the Mets. And first half of the season, I thought he was fantastic. I thought he gave us everything we could have wanted and more in the first half. Second half, particularly through probably halfway to the end of July and August, September, not good. At the plate, not very good. Really struggled. Pretty much lost his starting job in center field to Tyrone Taylor because of it. He ended up hitting 236, 284 on base, 373 slug, 657 OPS, 12 home runs, 51 RBI, 17 stolen bases. And offensively, that's more than I thought we would have gotten out of Harrison Bader, to be honest with you. And the way he played in the first half, it could have been so much more if he would have been able to stay hot, or not even hot, just on the pace that he was on. We could have gotten so much more out of Harrison Bader, and I wouldn't have been surprised if the Mets would have re-signed him. But the way he fell off and stuff, I can see him, the Mets moving on from him. He is a free agent now, and he played a very good center field. I loved his aggressive base running. Sometimes he ran himself into some trouble, into some outs, but he also ran himself into some extra bases that really helped the Mets out. Also had some big hits as well. I liked Harrison Bader this year for the most part. I gave him a C+ just because that second half was really, really rocky, really bad. And so I ended up giving him a C+. A comment here from Jonathan. He says, Cody Bellinger is not a free agent. He's a 2-year, $54 million contract with the Cubs. Okay. All right. So I wasn't sure if he was a free agent or not. I didn't remember seeing him on the list, but I just assumed that he was a free agent because that's who we were talking when the Mets picking up. So it'd have to be a trade. Yeah, I don't know. How old is Cody Bellinger? He has to be his early 30s, right? He has to be like, somewhere in his early 30s. He played with the Dodgers for a few years. Cubs, I think, or no, yeah, Cubs, Rangers. Did he play with the Rangers too? I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, currently with the Cubs. I don't know. I don't know if the Mets would trade for him or who they would trade for him. Would they trade Marte for him? I don't know. I have no idea. It's interesting though. I mean, that's for Cody Bellinger. What's that? That's what 20, 26, 27, 20, 27.5 million per, or no, 27 million. That's 27 million per year over the next 2 years. That's not a bad price for Cody Bellinger. And so it's only a 2-year deal. Yeah, actually, be honest, yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat. With his production, absolutely. He was hurt earlier this season, right? He came back later, like halfway through or later in the season, I think. If I'm thinking correctly, which is not a given there. So yeah, I would take a hit at that. 2 years, $54 million, absolutely. Cody Bellinger still is, still a very productive player, star basically still. So looking at our infield, at third base, Mark Vientos, uh, fantastic. What a roller coaster season for Mark Vientos. One, not making the roster, being sent down to AAA right away. Super bummed about that, and like he knew it too. He knew it was coming. Because if he wasn't going to be third base, it was going to be DH. And once the Mets signed JD Martinez to a contract, to a 1-year deal, he knew it wasn't going to be DH. So there was nowhere for him to go. We had Beatty at third base. So he knew the inevitability. There we go. Got it out. Of him going to AAA was there. And he accepted it. Wasn't happy about it. Was kind of bummed. JD took him to the side, talked to him, kind of gave him a pep talk. And Mark Vientos went to AAA and he crushed it. He killed it. And he continued killing it until they called him up when Brett Beatty got hurt. They called him up, and I think it was only for was it a game? And I think it was just one game, and he had the walk-off home run there in St. Louis, and he got sent back down. Very upset again, not happy, but he understood it. And then the way Brett Beatty played after Brett Beatty came back off the injured list, he played very, very poorly in the field, at the plate, and Vientos was still killing it in AAA. So, what do? You bring Mark Vientos up, and ever since then, it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. You could not have asked for anything more from Mark Vientos or your third base position this season. Awesome job by Vientos. If he would have been eligible, he would have been the Rookie of the Year, I have no doubt. But he was ineligible due to playing time over the last 2 seasons or whatever. I'm not sure how it worked out. I was listening to one game on the radio, the one Mets game on the radio, and they were talking about how why he was ineligible for Rookie of the Year, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it came down to playing time over the last 2 seasons, and took him out of eligibility. But he ended up hitting 266, a 322 on base, 516 slug, 837 OPS, 27 home runs, 71 RBI, and 21 doubles, and that was in limited playing time. I think it was 115 games or something like that. Well, I gave him an A, absolute A. Couldn't have asked for anything more. I got a comment from Stacy. What's up, Stacy? Good morning. How are those Giants doing? Oh, Danny Dimes. What's going on there? Oh, my goodness. I kept seeing, I don't know, I guess before the trade deadline there, I kept seeing the Giants traded Daniel Jones to the Cowboys. And, I just woke up. I just woke up and I was all confused. And I'm like, what do you mean that they traded Danny Dimes to Dallas? I'm, groggy and I'm trying to scroll through the old X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I couldn't find anything on, so I figured it was fake news. And that would have been something now. And you're booing me, yes. The poor Giants. I feel bad for you guys, for Giant fans and whatnot. And then seeing what Saquon Barkley has been able to do in Philadelphia has to make you sick to your stomach. And yeah, then you have Brian Daboll's meatball looking ass walking around. That's tough being a Giants fan. But then, Stacy, look what I got behind me, and remember, it could always be worse. It could always be much, much, much worse. And if you don't believe me, watch my show from this past Monday, the Silver and Black Lair Raiders edition, and you can see the frustration I have right now with my beloved Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, grr very much. But welcome to Hump Day, Stacy. Welcome to Hump Day. I hope you're doing well. Shortstop, we had Francisco Lindor, our captain, our MVP, and should be the league's MVP, but we know it's going to go to Shohei Ohtani. And I said this on here so many different times. The difference between MVP and Most outstanding player is MVP, most valuable player. You take Shohei Ohtani off of the Dodgers probably still win the World Series. They didn't need Shohei Ohtani to win the World Series this year. You're watching through the playoffs, and I can't remember too many signature moments. He had some good games. He had some home runs and stuff like that, but none of them were really pivotal that I can remember. Now, a lot of these pitchers, a lot of these teams did pitch around him, and you could say that was pivotal. Get him getting on base for guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and God damn Edman and stuff like that. So you could argue that. Regular season wise, fantastic season for Shohei Ohtani. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, whatever you want to call it. I think he ended up with 59 or something like that stolen bases, and 51, 52, 53 home runs, whatever it was. And absolutely outstanding, outstanding player. But the Dodgers didn't need him. The Dodgers didn't need him to win the World Series. They already had a stacked lineup. But the Mets, without Francisco Lindor, don't make the playoffs. Aren't even a contender. They're probably down with Miami Marlins, maybe even below the Miami Marlins. So the difference between most valuable player to most outstanding player, the MOP and the MVP, two different things, and that's my argument for it. But I do understand why Shohei Ohtani will be the MVP. I get it. I absolutely do. The man's a freak of nature, and the second coming of Babe Ruth, and I get it. So, but Lindor, our shortstop, our MVP, he ended up hitting 273 this season, 344 on base, 500 slug, 844 OPS to lead the team. 33 home runs, 91 RBI to lead the team, 29 stolen bases to lead the team, and 39 doubles to also lead the team. And his average at 273, I guess, can kind of technically lead the team. Jose Iglesias, I don't know. He had much fewer games. So I don't know if you can I don't know what would make him eligible to be over Lindor for batting average. But if you take Iglesias out of it in his limited role before he became a starter after McNeil's injury, Lindor is basically led in every offensive category the Mets have except for home runs, and that was Pete Alonso, just one behind Pete Alonso. So I gave Lindor an A minus. I was kind of going between B plus A minus because that he really did start off really tough. And kind of compounded the woes the Mets had in May, in April, he had starting off 0-5 and stuff like that. But he handled it like a champ, and through all the nonsense that went on, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you refer yourself all the way back to the early in the season, one of the early season episodes of the Batcave where I ripped apart the Mets fan base for sending the man, hate mail, death threats, especially to his wife and stuff like that. Just stupid crap like that. It's just uncalled for. It's idiotic. It really is. And for him to be able to get through that and then turn in the season that he ended up having, awesome. And so I gave him an A minus. Couldn't have been where we were without him. So absolutely. At second base, Jose Iglesias. He ended up batting 337, 381 on base, 448 slug, 829 OPS, 4 home runs, 26 RBI, 16 double. And a lot of that was, filling in and, sharing time with Jeff McNeil at second base, filling in at third base and stuff like that until McNeil got hurt and then became an everyday starter and just blossomed. He was awesome. The OMG, the song by Candelita, which is his stage name. And just it felt like it really brought the team together. The whole I don't know if it's a music video or just a little mini concert he put on after the one game, which was I think a walk-off win by the Mets, if I remember correctly. I can't remember who it was against. And what was outstanding, I feel like it really brought the team together. It was something that was one of the earliest things they could rally around. It was the OMG sign and stuff like that, and we did with Grimace and stuff. And so many great things came out of Jose Iglesias this past season. He's now a free agent. I'm not sure if he'll re-sign with the Mets or not, because again, when I talked about earlier in this episode, the the log jam of young talent coming up, through the infield, through the outfield, and potential free agents that are out there, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So Jose Iglesias, I won a B plus. I loved what he did this season. Postseason kind of struggled, but regular season, this glove offensively, did a fantastic job, really fantastic. Jonathan says Lindor is a B. The slow start killed the Mets in May. Yeah, it like I said, I went back and forth, but I think the way he rebounded, and it just the season he was able to have after to get through the struggles in April and May, and to be one of the best players in the league. If you take it from a certain point, like I've mentioned on here so many times that as of June 1st, the end of the season, the Mets were the best team in baseball. I mean, that was mentioned all over news medias and stuff like that. If you're able to take Lindor from a certain point in the season and everybody else for the rest of the season, he may very well be the best player in the league. So that's one of the reasons why I gave an A minus. Like I said, I was torn between B plus, A minus. To be honest with you, it's the same thing, just about. But just the way he was able to rebound. It was just said so much about him and the leadership that he showed, and it just he grew by leaps and bounds. I think in a lot of New York Mets fans' eyes, and maybe even a lot of critics' eyes as well. But we'll have to wait and see what happens next season. All can be forgotten in one season. That's the thing. Everybody has short memories. Jose Iglesias is the B2. He was awesome. Did you know that OMG sign was displayed in Cooperstown? Yeah, I did see that story. I didn't get a chance to read it yet when I was doing looking up all these stats and stuff like that, regular normal stat lines for these guys that I'm grading here. I did see that it said the OMG sign was headed to Cooperstown. I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to read the article yet, but I'm really hoping to get Grimace in there too, and maybe even like a picture of Hawk Tua or whatever. And again, I'm not really sure what she has to do with anything, but it's all piled in there to a weird and wacky season that we had this past year. So, but yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, and I also agree. Iglesias, I gave him a B plus. I thought he had a good season, really good season. Postseason, but for what he was, for what the Mets paid for him, absolutely outstanding. So I also put Jeff McNeil here in the infield. He had 238, 308 on base, 384 slug, 692 OPS, 12 home runs, 44 RBI, 26 doubles. I gave him a D plus. Man, I tell you what, I'm a big Jeff McNeil fan. I like Jeff McNeil. He was bad. He was very bad, and until after the All-Star break, and then he looked very good power-wise. He was hitting the ball hard again, and he looked locked. He looked like he was locked in, and it's a bummer we didn't get a chance to see him finish the season out, because then when he broke his hand or his wrist, whatever it was, it's a bummer we didn't get a chance to see him finish that out, because he was on a tear. He was on a tear, and it would have been interesting to see how he would have finished. But it's such a absolutely horrific first half of the season. I mean, again, I like Jeff McNeil, and I had the Mets say, like, they got to trade this guy away at the trade deadline. Anything they can get for him, if a bag of donuts or like a 12-pack of hot dog rolls, just take it. It is what it is. And but I'm kind of turned around on it now. And then I would not be surprised if the Mets did move on from him in the offseason. I wouldn't be overly surprised. From everything I heard, there's no clubhouse issues with him. Everybody likes Jeff McNeil, and I haven't read anything otherwise. I haven't heard anything otherwise. Haven't seen anything on X otherwise. But maybe I'm wrong with that. I don't know. But I know the fan base was pretty fed up with Jeff McNeil. First half of the season, second half of the season looked much better. And postseason, I'm not. It was nice to see him get some at bats in the postseason in the NLCS, but I think maybe they could have used somebody else in that spot. He didn't really give us a whole lot. And you can't blame him for that. Absolutely can't blame him for that. So I gave McNeil a D plus. Pete Alonso, first base. Pete is now a free agent. He hit 240 this season, 329 on base, 459 slug, 788 OPS, 34 home runs, which led the team, 88 RBI, 31 doubles. So for Pete, it's really tough for me. I'm a huge Pete Alonso fan. He's currently my favorite Met player on the team. He's not my all-time favorite Met player. If you've never seen the show before, I've kind of went through it. It all started with Howard Johnson, Hojo. That was my first all-time favorite Met. And then I became a big Todd Hundley fan. I was a catcher when I played baseball, Little League baseball and Teener League or whatever you want to call it. And so I was a Todd Hundley fan. I was a big fan of Todd Hundley. And David Wright. Of course, everybody loves David Wright. And now it's Pete Alonso. But overall, if I had to pick somebody, I would say probably Hojo, Howard Johnson. He's the one that got me really following the Mets back in the late 80s, early 90s. I was born in 1980, so it's kind of an 8-year-old sitting there watching baseball. It's not really all that typical. But I think it's around like 89, 90s where I really started following baseball and watching games and stuff like that. And I was a fan of Howard Johnson, Hojo. But anyway, Pete Alonso. Really hoping the Mets bring him back. He had, by all accounts, a down season, a rough season, getting ripped apart by critics, by fans. And I defended him. I can't tell you how many times, and I'll defend him until I get blue in the face. If my guy, his down season is hitting 240 with 34 home runs and 88 RBI, a 788 OPS, I'd take that any day of the week. Absolutely take that any day of the week. And that's a down season. So you have to figure a down season. There's the rest are up seasons, right? Because if it was a regular season, that wouldn't be called a down season. So the rest, if it's a down season, that means everything else is up. And you're going up from 34 home runs, up from 88 RBI, up from 31 doubles, up from 788 OPS. So some of the criticisms I would give Pete was the chasing of the slider, and I criticized him on here so many different times, and like everybody else does. Everybody else does. Just cannot understand why he could not make the adjustments on those breaking pitches, low and outside. And you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming every at bat, and it felt like every at bat. Obviously, it wasn't, but it felt like every at bat he was striking out on the same damn pitch, and it was frustrating, absolutely frustrating. And many a times I just. Sat there like, oh, I don't even know what's going on here anymore with Pete. And it's like it was hard to defend, but I'll defend him until I'm blue in the face and orange in the face. But that's one of the criticisms was him just constantly chasing that low and outside pitch, whether it was a slider, whatever, cutter, any kind of break and pitch outside, low and outside, drove me absolutely nuts. Not taking the walks, not being a little bit more patient at the plate, and trying to pull everything. We've seen it in the playoffs. Where he started taking ball opposite field, and I can't remember how many home runs he had in the playoffs, but the majority of them were opposite field home runs, if not all of them. So, that tells you something right there. It seemed like he kind of figured out. He kind of locked in a little bit. Of Pete Alonso, and this might be a little bit, I don't want to say controversial because it's just, a schlub making up grades for players. I mean, what the hell? I'm not using any kind of scientific formula. It's all about feeling. I'm not a real teacher. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I gave Pete Alonso a B minus, and you can say, that's too high, or whatever. And I wouldn't argue that. I would not argue that. I am a little partial again. I got my first ever authentic jersey. The replica jerseys and the authentic jerseys. Well, my wife, I do have a replica Pete Alonso blue Mets jersey, and I got that. I don't know what it was like 2 years ago, I think it was. I bought that, and then this past year for I think it was for my birthday or for his Father's Day because they're all both pretty close. Can't remember exactly which one it was, but my wife got me a City Connect Pete Alonso jersey, authentic. And like, oh, Daddy, I hope hopefully they resign the goddamn guy so I can wear continue wearing these jerseys. And because I'll tell you what, I'm not one to float my own boat, but I look fire in that City Connect jersey. I ain't gonna lie to you, I look fire there. So, but anyway, so I gave Pete a B minus, and go with it where you want. If you think it was less, if you think it was lower, that's fine. I have no problem with understanding that reasoning. But like I said, a down year. My guy had a down year and still hit 34 home run, 88 RBI, 31 doubles, 78 OPS, 240 batting average, was up from the year before. I don't know. I get it, the whole Juan Soto over Pete Alonso thing. I get it. I really do, but I'm rolling with Pete. So, all right. Jonathan says, I was a Carter, then Hundley, then Wright fan. I love Gary Carter as well. I really like Gary Carter. But it was, for some reason, it was Hojo, and I can't even tell you why. Maybe it was because when I started watching it, really following it. My grandfather was a Mets fan, so I was already a Mets fan, but I wasn't watching it. I wasn't following it. I could care less in '86. So who won the World Series? I was worried about my He-Man characters and my He-Man figurines and stuff like that, and protecting Castle Grayskull from Skeletor and all of his evil cohorts coming down from Snake Mountain and such. So that's what those were my key worries. And it's something I still worry about to this day. We cannot let the power of He-Man fall into the wrong hand. The power of Eternia. We cannot let Skeletor get that. It's vital and it's important. So important to me. Should be important to you as well. Anyway, but Hojo really showed a ton of power. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, his run near the end of his run with the Mets. And that very well could be the reason why I started following him. And I was always a big fan of third base. That was my other position, besides catcher. I love playing third base, the hot corner. And so that could have been it as well. So I'm not really sure why it was Hojo, but it was always Hojo. And then once I started catching, I started watching Gary Carter a little bit more. But I think Gary Carter was either at the end of his career or he just retired. But of course, being a Mets fan, I knew who Gary Carter was and stuff like that. And he was an awesome catcher. Offensively, defensively, terrific catcher. And then of course Todd Hundley, smashing the hell out of the ball. Not a great catcher, Todd Hundley, at all. Couldn't throw anybody out, but he was smashing the hell out of the ball, and I dug that. So that was the Todd Hundley story there. And David Wright for his leadership, his character, and how he played third base, and and of course his bat and stuff. But yeah. So moving on from there, moving to the outfield, Nimmo out there in left field, his first season in left field with the Mets. Last couple seasons since I don't know if it's since 2019, if he's always been a center fielder since he's been up. Not 2019, was it 2017? I think maybe when he was called up, but whatever it was, I think it was 2017, somewhere around there, 16, 17. It was after. I think it was after the year. Was the year after the Mets went to the World Series, or was it 2 years after? It doesn't matter when it was. But as long as I can remember, Nimmo's been in center field and not playing a bad center field. Every year he'd get a better. So I was actually really surprised that they moved him to left field, and they said they had better center fielders, in mind with Bader and Tyrone Taylor. I'm like, oh, shit, I thought Nimmo was a good center fielder, but I seen how they played the position, and I could see where some of his flaws were in center field, which, not crazy flaws or anything that was glaring, but he was definitely flawed compared to those guys in center field. So out in left field, he played a good left field, played a decent left field. Nothing to write home to grandma and grandpa about or anything like that, but nothing to complain about either. At the plate, Very good first half again, and to the point where there was a chance he could have been an all-star. And again, back to Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso got the all-star nod. Lindor did not. Nimmo did not. And Mans killed Pete for it because they feel like Pete got in because of the home run derby. And I feel like Pete got in because of the home run derby. But my opinion is, what would you do? It's like, hey, you want to go to the all-star game? Okay, well, we need you for the home run derby. That's the only way you're going to go. All right, that's a couple checks there. You know what I mean? You get you're recognized as an all-star. That's on your resume. You get to go hit some dingers, which he did not do well in the home run derby, and then you get to have an appearance in the all-star game. But he got killed for it. He absolutely got killed for it. And Nimmo was snubbed, and Lindor was snubbed, and there's only so many spots, I guess. I guess that's how that's how I look at it. But Nimmo's really struggled second half of the season. Even before the All-Star break, he was starting to struggle a good bit. And we come to find out here when he got to the playoffs, he was dealing with that the foot injury, and he said he's dealing with that since like May, and he really started hurting him a lot there in the postseason. And you see how it affected his plate appearances and his speed and his running and stuff. So that's a bit of a bummer that he wasn't healthy all season. So it makes you wonder what kind of season he would have had if he would have been healthy all season. But old bodies break down. He ended up hitting 224, 327 on base, 399 slug, 726 OPS, 23 homers, 90 RBI, 23 doubles, plus 15 stolen bases. Great power numbers, and a lot of that came pretty early in the season. Through like June, May and June. But I mean, at the plate in the field, not a bad season for Nimmo. I gave him a C+. I was torn between C+, B-, but I feel like just the struggles were too much. And again, I feel like it's due to the injury that we didn't know about until postseason when it really became glaring. And so I ended up giving him a C+. And I just don't feel like I could have given him a B. I feel like he had an okay season, and I expect big things from him in this upcoming year. And then I really like it seems like he stepped up a bit as a leader as well, as being like the longest tenured Met and stuff. So center fielder Tyrone Taylor, he ended up hitting 248, 299 on base, 401 slug, 700 OPS, 7 home run, 35 RBI, 22 doubles, and 11 stolen bases. He had some big moments there at the plate. Nothing too crazy. What he gave us is what you would expect to get out of him at the plate. You don't have Tyrone Taylor on your team for his offensive numbers. You have him on your team for his defensive numbers. He played a terrific center field, did a great job out there. Also some in right and some in left as well. I ended up giving him a C. And I probably could have went C+, but I ended up going C. And what the hell is the difference between a C and a C+? Who cares? Who cares? It is what it is. It's a C. So I gave him a C. He'll be back next season, I believe. Like I said, I think he's still under contract for another season. So he'll be back unless the Mets decide to move on from him to make room for other guys or whatever, or trade him away or something. But that's what we got the offseason for. We'll figure that out over the next couple months. In right field, we have Starling Marte. He ended up hitting 269, 327 on base, 388 slug, 715 OPS, 7 home run, 40 RBI, 13 doubles, 16 stolen bases, and just injured. Yeah, just injured. I don't know what else to say about it. I spent a lot of time on the injured list, and I don't know. I don't know where to go from that. It's a bummer because when he is in the lineup, offensively, he's a catalyst. He's a starter. He's somebody that can move the lineup. He moves needles when he's in the lineup and he's healthy. With his speed, he has good power. Very smart on the bases. Very smart at the plate as well. He'll take walks. He'll lay down bunts and stuff like that. Great job. But the injuries, it's just they're piling up, and we still owe him a good bit of money. And I think we have him for one more season yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Mets do with this offseason with Starling Marte. Do they decide to move on from him? Do they still keep him around and just roll with it? But we'll have to wait and see. I ended up giving him a C, and that's mostly because he was injured and just unavailable. So your best ability is your availability, and didn't have it. Postseason wise, not bad. He had some big moments, had some not so big moments, like most of the guys. Gotta wet my whistle. All right, so moving on to DH, we had JD Martinez, 235 average, 320 on base, 406 slug, 726 OPS, 16 home runs, 69 RBI, 24 doubles. All right, so JD, a tough one. He signed to the team late in the during spring training, so he missed the first, what was it, like month or so of the season, just getting up to speed, and then he kind of injured himself while down at AAA. I think it was a back issue, if I remember correctly. And it was a while before he joined the team. And first half of the season, really good. Really good. He was everything you thought he might have been. Decent average, good power. So some clutch hitting. And also his wisdom and knowledge, taking guys under his wing, talking offensive baseball, talking hitting. He's one of the leaders in the clubhouse. When we look back on the whole Jorge Lopez thing and in the meeting afterwards, it was Lindor and Martinez, and I believe Nimmo were the guys that kind of called that meeting and really stood up in front of the team and kind of laid it out there. JD Martinez, even though he's a new guy in the clubhouse, kind of made his presence known as a seasoned veteran and a leader. And, a lot of guys respected him. Probably everybody in that clubhouse respected him. Absolutely. And knowledge with hitting, extensive, overly extensive, whatever that means. And it's unfortunate the second half went the way it was, and he couldn't figure it out sooner. It was just an atrocious second half of the season. And that opened the door for some other guys getting DH opportunities, and that took at bats away from him. And you feel like, if he could have got some of those at bats back, does he figure it out? You don't know. But you couldn't wait for him to figure it out. You had to get somebody in that role to produce. And it's just something that's been, a hindrance for the Mets since the DH became a thing in the National League. Just trying to find that guy in the DH spot to actually produce. It's been rough. It's been absolutely rough with the DH spot. So JD, I gave him a C, and I felt bad for giving him a C. I don't know why I felt bad for. I don't know the guy. Hopefully he's not watching. JD, hopefully you're not watching. I apologize. He's not watching this. But anyway, I gave JD a C. Was super bummed about the way the season, the second half went for him. Francisco Alvarez, here's another bummer. He ended up hitting 237, 307 on base, 403 slug, 710 OPS, 11 home runs, 47 RBI, 14 double, and tough season for Francisco Alvarez all around. Young guy, was it 21, 22 years old, something like that. So not worried, not worried about him at all. I have the utmost confidence that he'll have it all figured out this upcoming season. But he was looking great. He was looking fantastic early on. I think it was May when everybody else was playing bad. He was playing, very good. Hurts that thumb. Came back and was never the same since. And I don't know if it was the thumb or if it was just all in his head or what it was, but just not good. And it seemed like the last two games of the NLCS, he did figure it out because he was hitting and he was getting on base and stuff like that. And just too little, too late. But again, so young that I'm not worried. I have the utmost confidence that he will figure this out and he'll be back next season stronger and better than ever. And, I wouldn't be totally shocked if he had 25 plus home runs next season and is an absolute stud, hitting 250, 260 and just producing and, being that spark plug we know he is and he can be. So I gave him a D plus. Even behind the plate, I thought he struggled. And I mentioned this before about the way the catchers of today set up with the one knee down. I hate it. I can't stand it. And I think it reared its ugly head a couple times for a bunch of different catchers, especially in the postseason. Balls in the dirt getting by. You just don't have the maneuverability to get those balls, dig those balls out of the dirt, and then you're like, swiping and backhanding and trying to pick instead of getting down and blocking. So it's to me, be honest, it's the lazy man's catcher. That's how I look at it. I don't know. I could be way off. I never did it. I was the traditional, squat, drop to your knees, block with your chest, keep the ball in front of you kind of guy, close the 5-hole, hockey reference. It's just, I hate watching it. I hate watching today's catchers now. And it's not just, Francisco Alvarez. It's all of them, every single one. I can't stand watching them for that reason. And it's rough. But I do feel like he'll bounce back next season, and he'll have a huge turnaround this season. Will be just a distant memory for him and for the Mets next year when they're lifting that World Series trophy high above their head. All right, so that's all of our position players that I want to cover. So I got the relief pitchers and the starting pitchers. I'm going to do them next week. I'm going to hold off and do those ones next week because I got a whole host of them. Some relievers that played only a little bit this season, whether it's because of DFA or injury or they came up late or whatever. And then our starting pitchers, we know the cast of characters there. So I'll hold off until next week to do those guys. So our free agency list, the way it looks right now is Alonso, Brooks Raleigh, Jose Quintana, Drew Smith, Luis Severino, Jose Iglesias, Jesse Winker, Adam Ottavino, JD Martinez, Harrison Bader, Ryan Stanek, and now Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea declined his player option for next season, so that makes him a free agent. The Mets did offer qualifying offers to Pete Alonso, Luis Severino, and Sean Manaea. So what that is I think it's a 1-year base salary of like $21.5 million or something like that. And if they decide to sign with somebody else, the Mets would get compensated for it. And it'd be a 4th round or later draft pick or something like that. So that's what it is. You offer them a qualifying offer. So if they do leave, you do get something in return, but you still have the opportunity to re-sign them to longer contracts. Which it's not a bad idea, and they could accept that. I don't think they'll accept that. I don't see Pete accepting that. No way Pete accepts it. No way Sean Manaea accepts it. Excuse me, I'm sliding down my rocking chair here. I'm in a rocking chair. That's what I sit in. But anyway, I don't see any of those guys accepting that offer, the qualifying offer, but it's out there now. The Mets turned down the club option on Phil Maton. That makes him a free agent. What else do I got here? DJ Stewart and Joey Lucchesi were outrighted to AAA, but they elected free agency. I feel like there's a couple other guys, but those were the two big names that I came across. DJ Stewart and Joey Lucchesi. DJ Stewart's a bummer. The end of the 2023 season, gave the Mets fans something to cheer about, cheer for. It earned him a 1-year deal with the Mets, or was it a 2-year deal with a 2nd-year option or something like that? I don't remember exactly what the details were, but it earned him a major league contract. Unfortunately, it didn't go so well for him this season. Was getting on base, a decent clip, but was not hitting the ball. Was hitting in the 100s, like 195 or something. I don't know. I guess it'd be below the Mendoza line, the old school terms there. But he was getting on base. He was getting on base at a 300 some clip. That means he was taking a lot of walks and stuff. So there was some I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. He was useful. He was useful in that way, getting on base, but it just wasn't good enough. So he elected free agency. Hopefully he catches on with somebody, or he finds his way back to our AAA affiliate there in Syracuse. Joey Lucchesi, I like Joey Lucchesi. If you've ever seen the show before, I talk highly of Joey Lucchesi. I kind of bummed to see him leave. but hopefully he catches on with somebody and he gets an opportunity to start. I feel like he can be a starter. I don't feel like he can be a top of the line starter, but I feel like he can be a number 5 and number 6 a starter in a rotation. And I hope he catches on somewhere. You know, I'm hoping he's able to find his way back to the Mets, and that'd be phenomenal. But if not, I wish Joey Lucchesi all the best. I'm going to follow him. I'm going to follow him and see how he's doing, and his injury history and stuff like that kind of that leads to a great story. The way he's able to battle back from his injuries early in his career. I think he was with San Francisco before he was with the Mets, and just continued working and building out his craft, and became a decent pitcher. So those guys, both DJ Stewart and Joey Lucchesi, elected free agency. So now they're free agents as well. All right, my mouth is tired and dry. So that's all I have for today. I do have a couple of things to do here yet. We got our sponsor, so don't go anywhere. Don't skip out on me yet, because I'm going to tell you about Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. And the phone number there is 856-209-5258. And in the Steel City of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His offices are located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in the city of Brotherly Love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, his offices are located 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. And the phone number there is 267-888-2980. Tell him that Out of the Box Sports sent you, and he'll hook you up with a great deal. And he'll help you win your case, hopefully. So that's there you go. Big Al. I love it. Got a comment here before I hit my stuff. Thank you, Jonathan, for checking the show. I appreciate you very much. Jonathan, Stacy, for commenting. I appreciate both you guys, and to the folks viewing right now and the folks that will be viewing later. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If there's anything else you'd like to see me do on the show, or if there's something you think I could do better, please don't be afraid to throw it out there. I want to get better at doing this, and so the only way to do that is to get some sort of criticism, constructive criticism, and that way I can work at the flaws that I have with the show. And I do, forget a lot of stuff. I stutter and I say a lot, or I say that a lot as well. And I try to make it funny and lighthearted sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it is what it is. But you can check us out here, Out of the Box Sports, on YouTube and X at OOTBox Sports. That, once again, is at OOTBox Sports on YouTube and X. So please give us a follow and a like and subscribe there. For myself, at the Batcave OOTBS on X. I appreciate if you'd follow me there, at the Batcave OOTBS on X. My YouTube channel, also, if you can give that a sub, I'd appreciate it. That's at the Batcave _OOTBSE. Once again, at the Batcave _OOTBSE is my YouTube channel. Like I said, if you can give that a sub, I'd appreciate it very, very much. And one other thing before I get out of here, I do have a new sponsor to my shows here, W Energy Drink. I tried their hydro packets, fantastic, great taste. Whether or not they made me more hydrated, I don't know. I know they taste really good. All natural ingredients. They're not one of those crazy like energy drinks like a Monster or a Red Bull filled with all sorts of different types of chemicals and stuff like that. This stuff's supposed to be all natural. And reading up on the interwebs, they say everything that they are everything that they say they are. So that's good to know there. I just did get in yesterday a tub of their energy drink powder. So I'm going to try that out today when I wake up and see how that goes, see how that tastes. It smells phenomenal. I think it's called Mango Orange Dream. So I'm assuming it's like an orange creamsicle / mango. I don't know, but it smelled phenomenal. It really did. So I'll let you guys know how that is. And but go to www.w.gg. Find what product you want to try out. They have awesome shakers on there with some of the energy, some of their powders, their energy drinks and stuff. Go ahead and pick something, and when it's time to enter a promo code, use that promo code, The Bat Cave, all one word, The Bat Cave. Don't leave any. I have spaces there. I have to fix that. There is no spaces. But that'll give you 10% off your order, and that'll also help me out a little bit. Maybe I can get a new set of headphones. Please buy the energy drink and use my promo code so I can get a new set of headphones, please. So anyway, again, that's www.w.gg. And use the promo code The Batcave for 10% off your order. And like I said, if it's not a good product, I'll tell you it's not a good product and I won't endorse it. But so far, I like what I tasted. My daughters, both of them tried it. The hydro packets, they both liked it. They said it was good. So they're kids and they know everything. So, right. All right. I got one more comment here before I jet. Jonathan says, is there a price too high to give Soto? No. Obviously there is a price too high to give anybody. I don't think Shohei Ohtani's nobody's worth $700 million in my opinion. But if somebody's going to give you $700 million, you don't turn down $700 million. And I think that's around where we're looking at Soto, $600 to $700 million. That's what I keep seeing. That's what it's going to take. So that's what it's going to take, and so with the way you can get creative, we seen the Dodgers do it, the way they got creative with Shohei Ohtani's contract, the deferments and such. Any team can do that now. Any team can do that. Hey, we want to pay so-and-so $600 million. All right, well, we'll pay him $15 million over the next 6 years, then we'll defer the rest of it till 15 years down the road or whatever, however they did it for Shohei Ohtani. I don't remember the exact terms and terminology and stuff like that. But I can see, and some of the podcasts I listen to, my boy CP, I think he says this once in a while. CP from CPNY Sports. I love Chris. He does a great job. I can listen to Chris all day. I miss Chris and the Amish Country Mets fan. I miss those two guys together. But our boy Nelson, does a lot of the YouTube shorts and stuff like that. So he's still around. He doesn't do the shows with Chris anymore. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But also the Locked On Mets show with Ryan Finkelstein or whatever his last name is. He says this too. But I could see a world. That's what they always say. And me being a Batman fan, when I can see a world where I think of, all the multiverse with all the different Earths, Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 52, and all that stuff. So that's where my mind goes right away. But anyway, I could see a world where the Mets can afford both Soto and Alonso and still find a high-end pitcher and stuff like that. It's going to cost a lot of money, but you can get creative with these contracts and make it work. Absolutely make it work. And with all the money that's coming off the books this year, especially with the Verlander and Scherzer stuff coming off the books, and what the hell's his name? The catcher that was absolutely awful. I can't think of the Narvaez money coming off the books, and I can't think of his name. He was with Baltimore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his name is, but with all their money coming off the books, and plus some other money, Adrian Hauser money and stuff, nickel and dime stuff, having 170 something million or whatever, plus whatever the endless amounts of money that Stephen Cohen has. The world is our oyster as a Mets fan right now. So we'll see what they do. Yes. Thank you, Jonathan. You're a savior. You're a savior, Jonathan. James McCann. Oh man, what a shit show that was. Oh goodness. James McCann. Ugh. What a bummer. All right. So, but yeah, I do think whatever Soto wants, you throw at him and see what happens. I mean, again, it doesn't mean anything. We could give him the same exact contract that the Yankees or whoever else is looking at to sign. So we can offer him the same exact contract, and he could still take the other guy's contract, a la Yamamoto, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The hell with that guy. I'm still pissed off about that. So I don't think I'll ever get over it. I don't think I'll ever get over that. So it all depends on what Soto wants. And so either way, Soto's going to cash in this offseason. Soto's going to be a very rich man. And hopefully once he gets that money, he continues producing. Very young player. That's one of the things that he really has going for him, that he's so good and he's extremely young yet. Like, what is he, 24, I think, or something like that? So he's got a ton of years ahead of him yet if he wants to keep playing. So, but there is no price too high. All right. That's all I have for today. I will be live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., God willing, with the Silver and Black Lair LA Kings edition. I got some Kings talk. Good week for the Kings so far. They just got done last night with a back-to-back. They played Tuesday. Or no, they played today's Wednesday. They played Monday. That was in Nashville or Smashville. A good win there, 3-0. And last night up in Minnesota, a very hot, very good Minnesota Wild team. Spanked their asses 5-1. So great week so far for the Kings. I got Vancouver tomorrow night. And see if we can spank the Canucks around a little bit. But yeah, so tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., I'm hoping to go live with the LA Kings, Silver and Black Lair LA Kings. And then next Monday, Silver and Black Lair Las Vegas Raiders. And of course, your team, my team, everybody's team, the New York Mets. I'll be back with the Bat Cave next Wednesday. So 10 a.m. All right. Until then, thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. Thank you for everybody that follows me. And, thanks to those that commented, and those that are watching right now. I appreciate it very much. Appreciate every one of you. Until next time, be sure to check me out. Same bat time, same bat channel. And, of course, you know it. Let's go, Mets!